All right. Who here is a soccer fan? Anyone? Football? Yeah, me too. And we are so excited to have our men's team here to share a little bit about their story. Unique story, honestly. Some insanely impressive cultures, values, and ethics that I think we are going to learn. There's a lot to be shared from on and off the field in the business world and in the game of sport. So I am thrilled to bring up Mr. Ryan Berman to moderate a little fireside chat with Ricardo Campos of the San Diego Loyal. Come on up, guys.
How are we doing?
Good, yeah.
Everybody doing all right?
Yeah, well, okay.
If you're a sports fan, raise your hand. If you are a San Diego sports fan, raise your hand. Maybe I should say if you're not a San Diego sports fan, raise your hand. That's okay. No booze here. My name is Ryan Berman. I'm the founder of a company called Courageous. I wrote a book that's out, so pick it up, called Interlock. It's out there if you want to pick it up on the way out. And I have a podcast called The Courageous Podcast. I've now done over 100 episodes of the podcast.
Your mic's not working.
Oh, okay. Better? Wow. There you go. Much better. So I've now done 100 episodes of the podcast, and I've interviewed like all sorts of leaders. And the one thing I've learned from doing the podcast is just telling the truth is now an act of courage. How sad is that? Like, what happened to us? I know we're being recorded, but I'm going to start with the truth. And that is, of all my clients, San Diego is my true favorite client. Wow. And it's because I love this city. I've been here since 2004. I love sports. And I love business. And when we think about the work that we've done together and them trying to do things the right way, they've really done things the right way from the beginning. Now, before I pass it over to Mr. President, we're going to have a nice conversation. Give it up for Ricardo Campos, everybody.
Thank you.
I actually Googled today, you know the Google game when you put in like words and like what's the next words that come from it? So if you Google San Diego Championship, what do you think the top two words are? Somebody take a guess. Not all at once. Oh, someone said zero. The two words were curse and drought. 57 years, 57 years, in 114 seasons, San Diego has won 0 championships. Are we having fun yet? All right. Now, if you know me, you know that optimism is my number one personal core value. And so we should tip our cap to Buffalo, because they actually have 117 seasons across 57 years with 0 championships. So thank you, Buffalo. If you've tracked sports, professional sports in San Diego, you got to go back first to the 70s and the San Diego Clippers. The San Diego Clippers were here for 6 years. They didn't start here. Where did they start? Anybody know? Buffalo. We owe them for that bad juju, right? They were here 6 years. 3 years into them being here, they were acquired by Donald Sterling, the real estate mogul in LA, and 3 years later, after finishing in the cellar every year, or second to last, every year for 6 years, they moved to LA. I don't think we need to rehash the Chargers, but they were here for over 60 years. Another DS owner, Dean Spanos, DS, chose to move the team up north. By the way, I looked at the attendees list. There's no DSs in the room, which is good. And off they went. So you look at San Diego, most people think we have one real professional team in town, who are 9-11 right now, and I'm hoping it's a good night tonight, so let's go for it. But about 4 years ago, Andrew Vasiliadis and Landon Donovan came together. They were awarded a USL, United Soccer League team. The United Soccer League is just under an MLS. There are 24 teams in 17 cities all over the country. This weekend on Sunday, Sunday and watch games, shameless plug. But
Go for it. No
Ricardo,
shame.
why don't you kind of sort of first give like a 1 minute on your background and how you live in San Diego?
Yes. Is my mic working? Yes. Okay. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having San Diego Loyal here. And for a little background on me, so I'm originally from Brazil. I lived kind of all over the world, Brazil, Uruguay, Ecuador, Philippines, China. So became kind of, appreciated diversity living around the world. Came to university here in San Diego and went to school here, but as an international had to leave and chose to move to New York, and got an opportunity to work in Major League Soccer, and then worked almost 10 years at New York Red Bulls, Major League Soccer team owned by Red Bull in New York. Had an amazing experience there of going through building one of the first soccer-specific stadiums, one of the modern ones currently in MLS, and then their training facility, signing superstars, and going through a crazy roller coaster of being worst team in the league, but then also making it to finals and winning some trophies. At the end of that, I really believed, when I lived here younger, I truly believed in this community. I learned to appreciate the other sports, but soccer was very vibrant. You could see it. People play, people watch the game, they're involved in it every weekend, but we didn't have a team. So decided to move back here, convinced my wife to move back to San Diego, not a very difficult challenge, and try to find a way to get involved with the game again and find a way to bring a pro team here. And it's been a journey in that, and then met with Andrew and Landon in the very beginning of this, and to do it the right way. And we'll get into a little bit more of what does that mean.
So club's 4 years old. First year, missed the playoffs, but not just because of points. There's a specific story that happened. Can you share a little bit of that story?
Yeah, so first year picked 2020 to start a public entertainment, not the best year to start. So we had a first game sold out, and then COVID. Continued the season midway through June. At the very last game of the season, there was a homophobic slur thrown out at one of our players, who is a openly gay male athlete in soccer. And we had a moment of truth. We've talked about representing our community, doing things the right way, and following our beliefs. And we gave the other team the opportunity to take that player off the field. We talked to the referees to get that player off the field. But they chose not to do that, so we felt like we had no other option but to walk off the field. And that led us to the league deducting points and calling us for a forfeit, and so we didn't make the playoffs that year. But we truly believe that we made the right decision to stand with a teammate that is just like every other one, and has been with us, and has been a key player for us all these seasons, and is still with the team.
I think a lot of businesses have values, and a lot of businesses have values that collect dust in an employee manual, or when we had offices, there was like lobby art, or you use them to fire people. All not great places to be. But I've always said core values are not eye rolls; they're how the exceptional roll. And since day one, you all have been extremely intentional about launching a club in a city where, let's be realistic, you're not just competing with other soccer teams, you're competing with the weather and the beach. Can you share a little bit about your values, San Diego Loyal values, what they are, and how they came to be?
Yeah, so when we first started the club, one of the things that attracted me was representing the community. So before we get to the values, the name and where did we get there is we did 10 listening sessions of groups of soccer fans, non-soccer fans, other sports fans, other event goers, families, a number of different, and try to understand what is the identity of San Diego. What did people want in a soccer team here? And the overarching theme there was this loyalty, because not everybody's from San Diego, right? I'm not from San Diego, but I consider myself a San Diegan and love San Diego as if it was my birthplace. And so there was that continuity or that kind of theme around loyalty to San Diego. And at first the name sounded a little, San Diego Loyal, that sounds, is it Loyals? It's not Loyals, just to make that clear, it's
no
not
S.
Loyals. But it sounded a little awkward, and nowadays for us it's like it's an absolute no-brainer. It just makes sense to be San Diego Loyal. Going back to our values, so we knew what we wanted to be, but like everything, sometimes doing it the first time we didn't get it right from a core values and kind of our mission statement. We had something that it wasn't wrong, but it was long, and I think there was maybe one or two people in our office who could, remember it and say it out loud. So we took a step back in year 2 and reevaluated what we were doing and how do we make it simple? How do we make it for all of our staff, our players, our sales staff, our marketing team, everybody to have a simple direction? And so Ryan was a huge help in us figuring that out and talking through our leadership team of what are we really looking to do. And came up with a very simple 2 words that we have it big in our office. It is office art, but we do follow it. But it's at the end of the day, we want our employees to make decisions. We want our players to make decisions every day because we don't want it to go all the way up every time so that they feel frozen to make those decisions. So it needs to be simple. And we came up with Grow Loyalty, which is a very simple way to continue to build that relationship with inside of the club, within our own staff, but also with our fans and with the community. And then we created our 4 values, which to me is kind of the way we build relationships as a whole. As a club, we're building it with our fans, with our community, but even with our partners in the community and marketing partners, our sponsors. It's a very simple process, right? We're competing every day for each other's attention. So compete is that first factor. We're competing on the field. We're competing to be the best marketing team, ticket team, partnership team in the league. So, but that competition of, as you mentioned, we have breweries, we have the beach, we have the mountains, we have everything inside, we have other teams, we have so much here that we're competing every day. So that's at the core of one of our values. The next step of that competition is that connection. You find something that connects you to another person, to a brand, to a company, to a team like ourselves. So it's compete, connect, and then you commit. It's a season ticket holder. It's building that partnership with somebody that really means something, that you're not just, we connect, but I'm committed to you. So it's compete, connect, commit. And then finally, it's the relationship, that bonding over time. It's cultivating that relationship, which tied in a little bit to Grow Loyalty. So it's compete, connect, commit, and cultivate. It kind of all ties into to something that we heard in our listening sessions, which was being loyal to the soil, loyal to San Diego, and keeping that connection in town.
What I love about the values is that it's almost like a waterfall or Monopoly. You don't pass go to the second value until first you compete. Because I think, again, if we're going to get your attention, we have to be competitive. The team has to be competitive. And then, look, this is a city, let's just call it what it is. We don't love commitment. Like, people break plans on the same day, want to go surfing. Let's call it what it is. We get flaky a little bit. As a guy that spent time in New York, you'd leave early. But here, that's our reality. So how do you actually compete and show up that you're a winning team so they actually do want to commit to us and then connect and cultivate? You mentioned Grow Loyalty already, that loyalty isn't just earned. You have to grow it. And I don't know if you were in the AI panel earlier, which I loved. And you think about AI, like in some ways AI is trying to help us speed up. And here on the humanity side, sometimes you have to slow down. And you can't cut corners, and you've got to win fans one fan at a time and grow loyalty. Sometimes it's like at a game, right? Finding a moment to grow loyalty with a fan. These are just words until they're not. Can you share a little bit about how you've operationalized Grow Loyalty?
Yeah, so one of the things, we try to instill that in everybody in the staff. So it's giving them power to do those things. So everybody has the ability. So we started with the very basic of the operation of the stadium, right? We play at USD. It's not a perfect venue from the access to it, parking, it has its challenges. So we wanted to make sure that anybody who came to a game had an amazing experience. So we created an ambassador group who their only goal during the game is make sure that somebody's having a great time and they get their questions answered. Everybody's being polite and thanking for people for coming. Things that nowadays we expect, but unfortunately we don't get at large events. You get a lot of rude security. People don't know what they're doing. They don't have the answers, and they don't even guide you to find that. So giving our employees the ability to solve their problems and to make a moment for someone else. So how do we activate that? Is we gave everybody that exact direction. So if little kid, it's a simple example, right? If some little kid drops an ice cream, just don't replace the ice cream. That's the easy one. Replace the ice cream, get him a T-shirt, upgrade the family into another seat, find a way. Most of us that are a sports fan, you became a sports fan because at some point in your life you had that moment that just clicked for you. And most of the time it was like someone else who made that moment. A lot of times it doesn't have to do with winning, doesn't have to do with on the field. We actually had, we do a Tell About Yourself every Thursday in our office, and somebody shared of why they became a Montreal Canadiens fan instead of a Boston Bruins fan. They were at the Garden, and they were doing a camp, and at the end of the camp, the little kid got lost, and security just told him, just find your parents, figure it out. And the kid got lost, and they, 2 hours later, finally he found out. But the parents were so mad at security that they decided they would not become Bruins fans; they would become Canadiens fans, just because there was their rivals. So, little things matter. And then internal with our staff, we find little ways. So we celebrate Grow Loyalty at the beginning of every meeting. We find ways to, how did you grow loyalty? How did somebody here take an action and do that? We had an employee the other day who, after a game, he was at a restaurant. He saw a family who had gone to our game for the first time. He bought them dinner. So it was like, hey, thank you for coming to the game. And so everybody has the ability to go above and beyond to find that moment of connection with someone else.
So the moral of the story is to drop your ice cream at the stadium.
Yes. Free t-shirt.
Maybe you'll get to play, free t-shirt. That feedback loop is important though, right? You've made that a consistent part of your meetings with your leadership team, and then even with the chairman, every once a week. Can you talk a little bit about what that engagement is like?
Yeah, it's at all levels, right? So it's the meetings. Our departments have their own way of growing loyalty. Our leadership team, we started with the same thing, and then I meet with the chairman every week, and I have to also have that moment of how am I growing loyalty, and it doesn't always have to be externally. As the previous panel was talking about, like staff retention, making sure your staff is enjoying what they're doing, and that loyalty within your staff is very important. For people who work in sports, there's a lot of very young professionals getting into sports, and keeping that staff is very important, especially on a ticket sales side, for example. A lot of the people coming in, they're always looking for a new opportunity. And if you don't keep them engaged of what you're doing internally, they'll quickly find the next place to go to work for.
A few years back, I got to hear Reed Hastings speak, and he said that Netflix is not a family, it's a sports team. That you've got to perform, and there's certain people on the bench that you're a sports team. But most people don't know it's kind of like two teams in one. You've got soccer ops and you've got front office. Can you first explain those two universes, and then how do you make it cohesive?
Explain those two universes, that would take a few days. Just because they can be very different, right? When you're talking about from a soccer ops perspective, it's just even from a timing perspective, they start 6, 7 a.m., they go until about 2, 3 from a interaction with the players, preparing for the players to arrive, training sessions, medical side, and it's very, very physical driven, but also we focused on the mental strength of players and developing that side of it. That's what playoffs is mainly about, right? It's like, can you be stronger than the other team? So you have that physical aspect, and then you have the distance aspect in San Diego. Our office is in Mission Valley. We train at the former Olympic Center in Chula Vista. So we have that distance between our front office and our soccer ops. From a business side, it's a little bit more normal, like a traditional business where you have marketing, ticket sales, partnerships, finance. But what ties both of the groups together goes back to the grow loyalty component of why are we doing this, and then ultimately the product on the field, which kind of creates the cause and effect process of our performance and how we're doing things. But it takes a lot of bringing the groups together, so it's having lunches in both of their different spaces, is finding different connections at the beginning of the season, at the end of the season, to bring those groups together, because naturally departments tend to go into their own units and find ways to maximize their potential, but making sure that everybody is together. We have a leadership meeting as a business unit first, and then as the whole cohesive unit every single Monday to make sure that we're all talking through what are we doing and how we're working together.
I was wondering if you saw yourself as like a sports team or a community champion, because a lot of the stuff you've done, and by the way, USL recognized this in 2021. You guys win the League Community Engagement Award, which is the USL's Impact Club of the Year, I believe. How important is that to you and to Andrew and to Landon?
It's when, to your first question, are we a community leader or a sports team? We want to be both. And so because a sports team is supposed to be a representation of your community, and so everything that we have done has been based on how do we help our community grow together. We address difficult issues that a lot of teams have stayed away from, but we feel like we have a voice, so we have an opportunity to bring people together. So a lot of things that we do are based on ways to giving back. We have amazing relationships with Chicano Federation, YMCA, San Diego Pride. We're getting another award from the Harvey Milk Award from San Diego Pride this year. We're getting the Community Award from Chicano Federation. We have members in their board of directors for the Y and for Chicano Fed. And mainly is because we're really trying to make an impact in the community. And so our staff volunteers 4 hours a month, everybody does, to whatever cause they want to. And then our players, we have a day at the beginning of the year and at the end of the year where everybody in the team picks a cause and goes to volunteer. Players and staff all the same day.
A lot of business leaders in the house. Who have you guys partnered with? And if you don't mind, can you share a little bit about the two-way street? Like, how is everybody helping everybody?
Yeah, so we have really good people in our team, and so the way we approach the sponsorship world is we're an extension of their marketing team. So instead of having 100, 150 partners, we have 20, 25, and really do a comprehensive job with our partnerships team, our marketing team, to be an extension of that partner's purpose for that, might be 1 or 2 seasons. And so examples like we've done the first Stone sponsorship. Stone did not spend money on sponsorships in the past. They were the first partner in front of our jersey, which is our, kind of our big billboard. We had Rady Children's Hospital, again, groups that traditionally don't spend money to be on sports. Rady's was our sleeve. And then we had Rocket League, who was trying to connect with, most people don't know that Psionics is based here in San Diego, so they wanted to kind of bring it back home and show that connection to San Diego, and so Rocket League was the front of our jersey last year. And so we just find we adjust our partnership plan to what that group is looking to achieve in that year and build a comprehensive, not just a sign in the stadium, but signs that go, things that go beyond just their plan.
All right, so this is the data talking, not me. It's like, some would call San Diego like the soccer capital of the country. Right? It was the #1 U.S. market in viewership for the 2018 World Cup. Loyal will have the #1 broadcast for local market ratings in 2022. Games are on ESPN Plus for road games. We've got some people nodding heads so you can see that. How do you keep and you got a border right here where they're just ravenous about the game. How do you keep growing the game, and how do you keep building on the success that you've had?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and part of it is, we didn't start soccer in San Diego. There's been a number of groups, youth groups, adult leagues that have been playing it here. What they haven't had is the opportunity to engage the game, for the outdoor game, in a professional level. So a lot of what we do is keep people connecting with the sport in a different way. A lot of us play, and some people play, but they don't watch games. So having the opportunity to go see that in person is life-changing in many ways, because you get to experience it in a different way, experience it with others. So many people, the biggest thing that we have is we feel like if you come in and try our experience once, you're going to fall in love with the overall experience, the on-field product, the ambiance, the environment, our supporters. And so it's growing the game in a different way than how you can do it through, unfortunately, video games and TV and supporting a team across the pond and things like that. You can do it locally. And so it's a different way to connect with the sport that people just haven't had it in a long time.
All right, so one more question, then we're going to go Q&A. So if anyone has any questions, get ready to roll here. There has been some chatter about MLS coming to the market, which seems to make sense. I can't not ask you about this. What can you share?
I think the biggest thing for us has been be a club, and going back to your question about, what are we doing to keep growing? We continue to be a club that represents San Diego and grow as much as we can. If MLS comes, we feel like we've built an amazing brand that really connects with this community in a very unique way. And so we just have to keep doing our thing and growing and putting ourselves in the best position to represent the city of San Diego.
All right, I have one more question, then we're going to pass it around. What's it like to work with Landon Donovan?
It's funny because I've had this question before, and there's a lot of pro athletes who, to become who they are, they have to be so focused and so almost cocky about their ability and what they're doing. And I think the beauty of working with Landon, his mom was a teacher, and he has the ability, he asks a lot of questions and wants to learn. Obviously, he has his knowledge on the soccer side that none of us can compare to, but the other aspects of the business, he doesn't act like an expert, even though in many ways he could. And so it's very easy to work with. He's a very approachable person and always willing to learn. And sometimes he asks questions that people are almost uncomfortable asking because you don't want to sound dumb. But he'll ask it just because to make sure that we're checking all the boxes and making sure we're not making any assumptions.
I think in the spirit of the title of the panel, which is winning on and off the field, to me, that relates to the boardroom too. There are times when we don't want to see ourselves as asking a stupid question or that we need to have all of the answers. And the irony is, ask yourself how coachable you are as a leader. And have you surrounded yourself with people that are willing to give you honest feedback on what's necessary? I think sometimes we get this idea that the leader is the leader and everyone else is following. And I keep coming back, and it's a soccer word, but it's a business word, is how coachable are all of us as things change? Are we open-minded? Are we willing to learn and whatnot? And again, whether that's on a pitch, and that's what the best thing about Landon is, he's not pretending to know it all. He's open-minded. Obviously, he's made a shift from head coach to the front office, and he's learning a lot, I think, in that position too, frankly. Let's open it up for any questions in the audience. And this concludes our panel, everybody.